Rails? Are we going? We don't need no stinking rails.
When this podcast hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
Oh, man. So what you're saying is don't let me drive?
Maybe we want to let you drive. Let's jump in here, guys. This is Game of the Year 2019, Part 1 here at Rocket Punch. Like we said at the top, we've got 3 categories to go through. Best character, best presentation, and unexpected gem. Will, I let you choose.
Let's go character.
You want to go best character first? Okay,
Yeah.
We're going to go best character, guys. Giving you a quick synopsis here, our best character, what we basically are picking here is like characters that specific characters we've seen in games throughout 2019 that have really been built well, characters that have a compelling story, and like really their characters, whether through performance or the story that it took within the game, kind of really drew us in and captivated us and kind of left a lasting imprint and impression in how we viewed that character, whether they changed drastically from beginning to end or just something that really impacted us heavily.
Yep.
So kind of how we want to do this is
also, we should probably throw a mild spoiler warning.
Yes.
If we're talking about characters, things may get revealed in the games.
Let's give them actually, just give them a quick spoiler warning for the whole episode.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, if you haven't played any of the stuff we're talking about, you probably should not be listening to this in all the way through.
Yes, like we said.
Or if you do, just be prepared.
And we'll try and keep it up to date for you guys as we go through each topic. But like, there will be spoilers. There may be spoilers. Assume there will be, depending on the talking points that we have as to why we made those picks for each of our choices here. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first, or do you want to let fate decide?
Let's let fate decide.
Fate decide. Okay. What side do you want? You want the light side or the dark side?
Dark side.
Dark side. Okay. Dark side flipped up. I'll flip it up here. Light side. So I get to go first.
Yeah, well, you're the one who always plays the cleric, so.
That is true. I love this coin. This is a super cool coin, by the way. Okay, so we're talking about best character. So, of course, we're going to start with our runners up here. I've got my list pulled up. Let me go. Okay.
I also have said list pulled up.
So, this one actually... this one felt a little harder for me than years past. I feel like there were some cool characters, but there wasn't... And maybe that's a description for this year as a whole. There were not, like, characters that really, like, jumped out and, like, led the pack for me.
Okay.
So we have 2 runners up here. My first runner up that I'm going to talk about is Deacon St. John.
Who's?
Deacon St. John from Days Gone.
Oh,
he's the main character in Days Gone.
Sorry, I was wait, why is that familiar? I haven't played Days Gone since like
that's the
what
fun.
was it? June?
That's the fun of like us not knowing, and we're like, wait, who is that person? I'm like, oh, okay. So I picked Deacon St. John from Days Gone.
And that's the character you play as, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
He is the biker guy. And for people who haven't played Days Gone, the game from Sony Bend, PlayStation exclusive game. Deacon's story is very interesting. The story is basically of you're playing Deacon St. John, and if you don't know about the game, it's basically this open world survival game. You are out in the world with your it's you and your bike driving around.
Oh, I'm very aware. I ended up buying this game. You did not expect me to buy this game.
I didn't, but it was a cool enough game that I think maybe at maybe not at full price. Maybe on a sale you catch it for like $30 or $20. I think it's like I'll pick it up.
So you know why I ended up buying this game? I was talking to people at work, and a friend of the show actually, who was at our first E3 party.
Mm-hmm. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he was talking about it and kind of got me more into it, where I actually bought it on my phone and had it download on the PlayStation.
But did you get far?
Not necessarily far into it because I kept just riding around and exploring.
One. That's fine.
Yeah, I fell into the open world trap of ooh, pretty trees. Let's go look over here.
But kind of like, I liked Deacon as a character. I appreciated his performance was played by Sam Witwer, which, if you don't know who that is, if you're in the gaming realm, the best one I could describe is he was the Secret Apprentice in the Star Wars The Force Unleashed games.
Oh.
Same guy. So he's no stranger to games here, but I liked Deacon just as a character because kind of talking about his story, about how as you play through the game and you learn a little bit more about him, going on to like as this zombie outbreak happens and him kind of jumping in. He was married, he had this wife, and as you basically, perfect scenario, you, his wife, which I'm making sure I'm getting
Sarah.
His wife's name is Sarah, and his basically, I don't know that basically his biker dude, biker buddy Boozer.
Yeah. You're
all three trying to escape right as this zombie outbreak happens, and you are put on the it's classic. You go up to the roof. There's a helicopter with the military there, and then they're like, "We don't have any room for anyone." Blah blah blah, and Deacon trying to be the husband that he is like, "No, please take my wife." And so he puts his wife on the helicopter, and you see this in the flashback, and kind of see them take off, and it ends up, especially as you play through the story, it's you and Boozer, and going through the open world. You have your little hut. They've got you're in Oregon, I believe, is the area, and you're in your little
it's a Firewatch tower.
Firewatch tower. I was thinking like fire stand. No, it's a Firewatch tower. And you and Boozer are there, and kind of just the acting by Sam, I think, was really great. Kind of his interactions with Boozer, interactions with everybody else. Because one of the very interesting things about this, aside, it's an open world zombie game. Like, yeah, we've seen a lot of those before. They're freakers this time. They're not zombies. I may misspoke here, but
it's a zombie game.
Yeah, being like you're part of a biker gang, and you and Boozer are part of this game. You have your biker jackets on, and kind of going through. Whereas sometimes you see your main character be like, "Ooh, I don't know. These are hard choices I have to make." With Deacon, it's very clear. It's like, survival with him and Boozer is survival's number one. Like, one of the first missions you go on is you have to hunt this guy who's got this map that has these goods that you need. You want to take back to this specific camp. And how is very much playing the tough guy. Like, they corner the guy on the hill, they shoot him. It's like, oh, you better, we could put you out of your misery, or we could just leave you here to die and let the freakers come eat you. And so there was some cool moral ambiguity there. Some of the things I liked was that his relationship with Boozer, when Boozer gets hurt, and you're you're going around taking care of Boozer, and you can clearly tell based on how the character's acting, like Boozer means a lot to him. It's that one friend. Like, if you and I go through the apocalypse and you get hurt, I'm gonna be like, dude, I got Will's my boy. I can't let Will get hurt. Like, we're gonna do whatever we have to take care of him. And I think,
you're gonna like what I throw your way if the apocalypse happens.
Yes, he's also a good guy to have if the apocalypse happens, for a lot of reasons.
No. We're fine. Don't worry about that.
But I think
people don't need to know anything.
Not only for that, but the main story of the game, and I think that him and kind of this ambiguity about what happened to his wife Sarah, because once the military take her off and they're stuck in Oregon trying to survive and do the best they can, they hear nothing from her. They don't know anything about what happened to her. They're like, she died. I think they may have found like a wreckage and like, oh, she died in the crash. And kind of how her story unfolds and how it kind of changes Deacon was really cool. Okay. Really inspiring from what I've played. And I will definitely say I haven't beaten the game yet. A lot of games this year to play, but from what I've seen and experienced, I thought Deacon St. John was a really great character. I think Sam put a lot of character acting for Deacon in that game, and it was really cool to see.
Very cool.
Yeah. That is my runner-up, number one.
Cool. We're gonna pass the baton back and forth, or you want to keep going?
What do you want to do? What do you feel like? I can do my 2 runners up, then you can do your 2 runners up.
Let's do that.
Okay. So my second, my other runner up that I had for best character, make sure I'm, yes, okay, is Seer Junda. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Seer. Oh,
From Star
Fallen
Wars
Order.
Jedi Fallen Order.
I'm like, hang on.
You're like, I know this name. I've not heard this name since
2 nights ago.
Seer Junda actually made it on my list. Did not expect her to make the list. Jedi Fallen Order, great game. It's a shame that it did not make the cutoff for the Game Awards.
I think that cutoff is kind of foolish.
I think.
So, hang on. If it didn't make the cutoff for Game Awards, will it be in next year's Game Awards?
Yeah, so basically very similar to how Super Smash Brothers was, because Super Smash came out in December last year.
Gotcha.
So that's why it was on the ballot this year.
Gotcha.
So Pokemon and Jedi Fallen Order will be available next year, but let's be very honest with ourselves. Will it make a difference next year? If all the games that are slated out to come out next year. And that's what I'm really, that this could have been its year.
Yeah, it could have. Now, that being said, that game has a lot of potential.
Yes. Now, how far are you into it?
So, I'm about to leave Kashyyyk for the second time.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say anything else.
And the thing is, I want to.
I'm aware of her relationship with his second sister.
Okay.
Is that what you're worried about?
A little bit, and so if you know that, then I'm good for telling you basically
right.
The arc of her. But Cal Kestis, cool character, I think awesome protagonist, not evolved. Honestly, I thought about picking Cal, but I felt like
he's a boring character, man.
Well, I felt he's not for me. He wasn't necessarily boring. I think that there was a shift in his character through the game that was a little unexpected and kind of sudden. I wasn't expecting it.
Okay.
And I think as you go further in the game, I think you might see it too, and you'll be like, "Oh, okay." It's a little weird, a little off-putting, but I think Seer was done a whole lot better because of the story that she has.
Mm-hmm.
For people who don't know, in Jedi Fallen Order, Seer Junda is the black woman that helps Cal Kestis. You know, she's on the ship with what's his name? Is it Grease? Grease. The four-armed creature thing? Yeah, Grease. On the ship. And you find out pretty early on, I don't even think you can call this spoilers, we've given you the warning already, but that she is a Jedi Master. Or she's a fallen Jedi Master. So basically what happened is that she used to be a Jedi Master. She's no longer one anymore. And kind of becomes I say master to Cal, but kind of like a guiding hand, like a mentor to Cal, as he's kind of relearning his Force powers and going out to complete this mission, because she knows, we need you. You're a Jedi. I've blocked myself off from the Force. I can't access it. And at the beginning of the game, you don't know why. But as you learn more about the characters and you get to one of those important junctions, you learn that Seer had an apprentice. And I'm making sure I'm going to actually pull this up, so make sure I don't want to get names wrong. Gotta love Wikipedia, everybody. It's super awesome. Trilla, yes. She has Seer has an apprentice called Trilla, and during kind of as Cal and them adventure further, and Cal starts asking her more questions, she divulges that during Order 66, Seer is hiding with Trilla. They hide in a cave. And Seer goes out to say, "Hey, Trilla, you stay here with a couple of the other younglings. I'm going to find more, see if I can help out with Jedi Masters, or at least lure them away far enough to where you guys are safe and you can escape." Well, it turns out that doesn't happen. Trilla and the younglings get captured. Trilla is taken to the bad people's area. I don't know where. And basically they force Trilla to turn to the dark side and basically become an Inquisitor. Trilla is, spoilers, Trilla is the second sister.
Mm-hmm.
And you come in, and I think honestly, you kind of get that feeling. I think there's a point somewhat early on, you're like, I think this is what's going to happen. Like, yeah, okay. Which it's not bad, but kind of as that is revealed, you find out that Trilla is second sister.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it turned Cere's apprentice into an Inquisitor that is hunting down Cal and the team. I don't know if you've gotten this far, but one of the other addendums is that they captured... The reason they found Trilla is they captured Cere first, and they actually tortured Cere to divulge that information.
Yep.
And Cere talks about how she held on, but she eventually caved, gave them the location of Trilla and the other younglings, and they killed the younglings, and they made her an Inquisitor. And so Cere, you kind of see, especially as you follow her progression through the game, you see that weight and that guilt that she deals with.
Mm-hmm.
With the game, as you learn more about that information. You also see, like, Cal's, who was very trusting of Cere at the beginning, starts to become like, I feel like you're not being 100% honest with me about everything, what's going on.
Which he should be.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, she wasn't upfront with him. Why should he be 100% upfront with her?
Exactly.
It's one of those, like, it's not just like a little thing. Like, you actually betrayed your apprentice.
Yeah. And
where Cal's Jedi Master actually sacrificed himself for him.
Yeah. And she continues to tell you that basically what happens is, like, right as they turned Trilla to the dark side and she becomes an Inquisitor, they bring Cere out to see her handiwork, quote unquote, and kind of put them face to face. And she, in her rage and in her anger, she actually taps into the dark side and kills all of the stormtroopers and soldiers in the room and escapes. That's how she gets out. And that is one of the reasons that she cut herself off from the Force, is because she's too afraid that she'll fall back into the dark side of the Force. And it was just really cool dynamic to kind of see Cere and see her journey, because that, I think, as Jedi and in Star Wars, that's one of the big proponents there, is like, you're becoming a Jedi, but don't fall to the dark side. Anger, hate, temptation, those lead to the dark side. And
yeah.
What makes this even more impactful is that later on, and I don't think you've gotten to this point yet, you will have a flashback where you experience this entire saga.
Okay.
Cal actually sees everything that happened between Cere and Trilla, and it makes this even more impactful. It kind of her journey and kind of what Cal is thinking and his thought process are with Cere, and kind of what he should do, what he needs to do with her, and kind of keep his arm's distance or what. And then, which I'm not going to spoil this part, but kind of the ending and the tail end there, kind of how her journey and her story ends, is very interesting. And I think I was very nice to see how they brought her story to life. It was a very good story, a very good tale of Master and Apprentice, as we've seen a lot, and kind of her thoughts and her opinions on, like, not using the dark side, but still trying to do what's good to help Cal and help Cal succeed at their mission. So, yes, Cere Junda is my other runner-up that I have for this category.
Okay.
What do you think? Quick thoughts on my runners-up.
I wasn't expecting you to pick Cere.
Oh, okay.
So, cool. Very cool. I'm okay with it. She does have a lot of stuff. I'm just at the point where he just confronted her about Trilla.
Yeah, I know, like, if you got back from Kashyyyk, right around that time.
Yeah.
That he comes back
so it's one of those, like, oh, dude, this sucks, but, I mean, I kind of get it.
What about Beacon?
Deacon is cool, man. I didn't actually have any issues with him while I was playing the game. I like how he responds to a lot of things. It's very interesting to me.
Okay.
But, it all goes to really just depend on a couple things as far as him.
It's your turn now.
As far as things go, I'm going to start up with number 3 on here. I went with Claude Von Reagan from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Oh, the blonde.
No.
No, Claude. Who's Claude?
Hang on.
Is that Golden Deer?
He's the Golden Deer
Golden
leader.
Deer. Okay.
Yeah.
Claude. Okay.
The reason why I like Claude is because when you're first introduced to him, like in some kind of, you're about to be going into a competition between all the students and everything, and you end up being the teacher over his section.
Okay.
And at least that's the way I chose.
Golden Deer for life.
Because, I just like the way the philosophy around that is better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because he actually was willing to suggest things that went against traditional honor and convention as far as that goes. So he was willing to do things to make victory easier if it meant less people were injured. And I respect that.
Oh, okay.
Like, he was willing to put laxative in the opposing enemy's food.
I remember that. Like, put in that way we don't have to fight or do anything there.
Yeah, or something along those lines. And that actually made me like, oh, so there's a darker side to him. I like that. It's not just
The
stereotypical, like, it's not your stereotypical one of those where it's like, okay, cool. So we have Claude over here, doing his thing. He's an archer, which in that game, if your main character is a sword wielder, an archer is a great backup. Mm-hmm. Nothing beats range support as far as that goes.
In Fire Emblem, range support, like, you always think, even if you have the brute force tactics, like having a ranged fighter is very helpful.
Yes. So it's one of those where I very much like A, the utility of the character, but B, I like how he handles himself in these interactions. And the way he handles himself actually makes it to where people want to keep their guard up around him because they're not sure how he's going to respond. And it's one of those where it's very much he could be your typical happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, it's time for you to die. It was like he's willing to do what needs to be done, almost.
Yeah.
Even though he gets beat down at one point.
Almost like as you described him, the word I thought of was like Sin Eater, the one willing to get their hands dirty to keep everyone else clean.
Yeah, that's a good way to approach it. Not only that, it's just the way he is as far as your interactions when you're the teacher. It does show quite a bit about how fleshed out that character is, and I enjoyed that aspect of the game a lot more because of who I was playing with. Whereas the other houses in that game made me feel very much along the lines of like, you're cookie cutter paladin type. Your archetype over here is you want to be an empress no matter what. I'm not cool with that. I want a character with some nuance. My other runner-up is Typhon de Leon from Borderlands 3.
That one I don't know.
You may want to look him up, and then we can talk. Now imagine, alright, if we had a game, and we had Danny DeVito as a Vault Hunter.
Okay. That's
and he's got...
No, hold on. What, which Danny DeVito? Are we talking like Batman Returns Danny DeVito?
No, we're talking like crazy doesn't give a fuck.
Okay, so It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Danny DeVito.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact...
I'm looking at this gentleman right now. Yeah,
you may want to mute your audio, and then just scroll through that. But the character, straight up, so he's the very first Vault Hunter on record, and according to his journals, he was born to a family of turd farmers. Like, legit, that's one of the things in there. His parents died when he was 16, wishing to have a more exciting life than just turd farmer. He hitched a ride onto a merchant ship bound for Promethea. And it triggered all kinds of adventures and exploits. Eventually, at one point, he fell in love, got married, and on the Iridian homeworld, Necrotafeo, which is a planet you get to at some point if you complete the game, he and his wife ended up having twin children. He's the father of the Calypso twins.
What?
I said spoilers.
What? I mean, no, we're very well prepared with what we have to deal with at the Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's their dad,
okay.
and he's actually willing to kill his own children to stop what they're trying to do. He's a very complicated character, but he's also willing to be sarcastic and kind of out there and crazy at the same time. It's very much a Borderlands character, but I appreciated, like, there were moments where he was so sad about his wife, and then he would honestly make jokes about spending all night with her over in that bed over there right after they finished clearing out the vault. And it's just like, oh, Jesus, dude, you are just all over the place. And it was one of those where I respected it to a point because leading into this game, you see these little golden pedestals all over, and they have a holographic tea floating above them.
Okay.
And this holographic tea, if you activate it, you hear a mission log or an audio clip that he left behind.
Oh,
and so you don't realize that, he's not like this mythical character that everyone makes him out to be because he's the first Vault Hunter. He's done all these crazy, amazing things, whatever. And you run into him and he's legit like Danny DeVito size. It's just like, wait, hang on. What? We expected like somebody like Brick on steroids. And no, this is just this little dude running around doing all this crazy stuff, and it just throws everything you expected on its head. And the way he responds, acts, and communicates with everybody else around him, it was just so hilarious to me. Okay. If you look it up online, a lot of people just refer to him as Typhon DeVito.
They probably on purpose. They probably wanted that. That's why they named him such.
But yeah, so he's literally, after everything's going on, it's so interesting to see the way first off, he had conjoined twins, Tyrene and Droy Calypso. His wife Lita died afterwards, and so he actually had to cut the two apart, which is why Troy's arm is the way it is.
Oh, okay. Ooh,
yeah,
I like that. Okay, very good.
So his existence and with everything going on adds background to the main villains, but it makes them more sympathetic while at the same time you feel for him because he's made the decision to kill his children to stop what they're trying to do to kill the universe.
Yeah.
And so it's like, dude, you got to feel for that guy. He lost his wife and now he's putting everything in to now have to take care of his kids because they got corrupted and turned
to the dark side.
Well, no, they went to the Twitch streamer side.
You're right. Very much the style there has always been like, hey, we got 1 million viewers, we're gonna kill some people.
Yeah, and so it's a crazy game, and it's very Borderlands, but he is such an interesting character within that little universe because every planet you go on, Typhon has already been there, and he's already been to those vaults.
That's cool.
And so you're following in Typhon's footsteps the entire time.
Okay. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's it?
I mean, those are my runners-up.
Your runners-up, okay. Very interesting. Claude, if I thought about Claude and putting him on the list, I didn't... I know there's that, in Fire Emblem, you have that period where, like, time changes, and especially in Three Houses, there's like the time skip, and I haven't gotten there yet. But I agree. Like I liked Claude as a character at the beginning. I think some of the other ones kind of gripped me a little bit more. Typhon, no idea. So I haven't gotten near that far in Borderlands 3.
You need to watch some videos of him afterwards just to kind of get an idea of how nuts this guy is.
Okay.
And it's the best kind of nuts. I'm not talking anything negative there. That's
basically Borderlands, right?
I mean, Borderlands, turn it to 11 and release. Go. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
No, man. I did not expect you to pick Deacon.
Deacon? Okay.
Like, I honestly forgot his name.
The game came out in like April of this year. Like, believe me, I had to look to remember. Like, Deacon something. I couldn't remember his last name, but I got it.
Gotcha.
So, number ones. These are our winners for best character.
Yep.
Staying with trend here, I will go first. My winner and my pick for best character is Kate Diaz.
Really?
From
You're going to go with
Gears
Kate?
5.
Okay.
Kate Diaz. And actually, I was really close with choosing JD.
Dude, JD deals with some stuff in that one.
Yes. But I think the reason I picked Kate Diaz from Gears 5 is because of the story that's been told and how they integrate that throughout the game and how well they have such a great job they do with that game. So if you've heard me on the podcast before, I know I've said Gears 4 is great. There's something about the end and the tail part of that I did not like. And Kate's story in and of itself was kind of like, it felt, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but it felt like it was kind of just like, we're building up and we're going to cut off right here.
And then we start 5 and it's just like a freight train.
Exactly. But I think I think that the Coalition has done a better job in Gears 5 telling Kate's story and making that the forefront. I really didn't feel like she was at the forefront of the story.
Yeah.
Even though like you were basically going through to help find her mother, it didn't feel like she was at the forefront of the story with her tale. But I think that with Gears 5, in the interactions they've had, the kind of as you're following through, learning more about her family, like her uncle in the village when she goes to try and recruit them to join the COG to combat the Swarm.
Dude, how about the visions you have while you're playing as her?
I think that was one of the big ones that really pulled me her way, is not only her visions, but learning the truth about her. And that,
whoa, buddy.
Basically, she is like part Swarm, like in the
well, her mother or grandmother was essentially part Swarm, and she is essentially descendant of essentially human and Swarm hybrid, and the Swarm was created by the humans.
Her grandmother's Queen Mira.
Yeah.
And when Mira had Reyna, which is Kate's mom, they speared her out. They took her out and was like, oh my god, she's gone. And, you learn why she has this connection to the Swarm, is basically, more or less, she's part Swarm. And not only that, but tying her into the bigger threat of the Swarm by describing that basically her powers and her grandmother and whatnot are the result of a
experiment by the COG.
Exactly. To go in and like, what was the point of? Man, it's been a while since I've actually got a chance to play that. I'm looking through some of the notes here. Oh no, it was emulsion. They were trying to find a way to cure the emulsion sickness. And one of the scientists he discovered upon this like secret genetic thing and started like designing stuff in secret. And that's how Mira and whatnot came about, how the Swarm came about. That's why she has this kind of connection, because Mira is queen of the Swarm. And so she's more or less Swarm royalty, for lack of a better explanation.
Yeah.
And like, the way that the story and the Coalition kind of weaved her story into the main Gears crux, the big thing about the visions. One of the most memorable ones is when you're in the village and the Swarm come through and you keep flashing over to different types of Swarm creatures until you finally become the big brute guy with the hammer, and you incidentally, without under control, you kill your uncle.
Yep.
And that was really, JD's been through some shit. Like, Kate's been through some shit too.
Yeah.
And kind of her journey going through and trying figuring this out has been really compelling. And I'm saying this, and I made my pick, not even finishing Gears yet. Like, we're still on Act 3, I believe.
Yeah.
But especially like playing with you, one of the interesting things is how they tied it with gameplay, that boss fight.
Dude, that boss fight was probably the craziest boss fight this year.
Like, I loved every minute of that. And I wasn't even playing as Kate. I'm talking with you, and you're like, I can't see anything. Like, I'm having a vision. I'm like, God, you better figure something out, because I'm about to die. He's coming to me. It was really something special. It was something, like I said, it was something unique. And I think that they've done Kate justice in Gears 5
Yeah.
with the story they've told with her. I think way more than in Gears 4. And I really liked what she is offered and presented.
I could totally agree with that. Man, she's a solid pick. Very solid.
Thank you. What is your pick, good sir?
So we both have played the Outer Worlds. I'm much further along than you.
Yes, you are.
But you've run into this character already. You just don't know her whole story. Parvati Holcomb.
Is Pavarti? I mean, a part of me was thinking, like, is he? I've heard a lot of stuff about Pavarti. I'm like, is he going to pick Pavarti? Like, I think he's going to pick Pavarti.
Well, when you first run into her, she's getting essentially chewed out by Reed, the guy who's the essentially the mayor / boss of Edgewater.
Yes.
And the reason why she's getting chewed out is because Reed decided at one point it would be a great idea to put some mystery meat into the Saltuna canning machine instead of Saltuna. And because of that, the cans are exploding when they're going to cook because Saltuna needs to be a certain temperature. This other meat is not handling that for whatever reason. She's trying to figure it out, but can't figure it out because she's dealing with equipment where she was trained on for XYZ.
Yes, okay.
And then all of a sudden he decides, well, screw it. I'll just pawn her off to this guy who's going to try to fix our power problems and get these employees back and go from there. As you complete these missions, she starts trusting you more. And so as you go through, there's some interesting things that happen. And I'm sorry if I spoil some things for you, but so
I understand what I was getting into.
When you go to the botanical lab and you talk to them, there's a character over there who's had a crush on her for a long time. She's known him since he was a little boy.
Okay.
And so you end up doing some quests to get him some engineering manuals so he can learn how to be a mechanic like Pavarti.
Okay.
So there's some cool stuff there. As it goes on, in my playthrough on PC, I've decided to divert power to the botanical labs.
Okay.
When I get back to the main town, Reed is furious and he's got armed guards all around the component I want. Well, I maxed out my dialogue and my strength. And I essentially threatened him, was saying, I don't want to get blood all over my new part, get out of my way. And he calls everybody off, and I get the experience as if I just killed everyone. That was great.
That's pretty cool.
And I was like, oh, man, I didn't have to do anything. It's just I'd hate to get blood all over my new part kind of thing, as far as one of the dialogue choices. Because it's like, all right, cool. I'm going to max my dialogue, and then I'm going to max my melee, so that way if the dialogue fails, I'll just beat my way through.
Okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty
cool. But the interesting stuff is Pavarti actually, you can talk to her, and at certain points, she'll kind of go further with different things. And she's actually worried about leaving Edgewater without the ability to work or produce. What's the company going to do because of this? That kind of thing.
Okay.
And, because if it's not the best choice, it's Spacer's choice.
That's the one I know. One of the corporations that I know.
Well, with everything going on in all of this, after you do these quests, you talk to her, you go into the area where you're doing the quest for the bar.
Mm-hmm.
You go into the bar, you talk to them. She's like, oh, you're not going to drink, are you? And you find out she has issues watching how people be so sad after they've been drinking all night because it causes issues. For her, she used to live across from the bar. And so you get kind of glimpses of that. And then you would get glimpses of when you're out in space, when you first get to the main ship that you're going to dock to. And I don't want to go too far in there, but Junlei is the name of the lady who runs the place. She's so excited to meet someone who is in charge of something who's also an engineer, and she wants to meet her.
Okay.
And so you go through all this stuff, you do some quests, Junlei's thankful. She's willing to, via email or whatever their system is, kind of teach Pavarti.
Okay.
So you get that kind of thing going.
That's cool.
Well, at one point, you keep going, you're doing your quests. You find out Pavarti has a crush on Junlei.
Oh.
And so at that point, there's a whole mission where you go to the ship, you go to the bar, and you help her build up the courage to be able to confess to Junlei. And so there's a lot of stuff back and forth. And it continues and evolves and changes. You learn about her father and why he's no longer there and what's going on. How he essentially worked himself to death to provide for her. There's a lot of crazy stuff.
Okay.
And so it kind of gets into some real layers and you actually start feeling for this character. And the writing was so spot on. And I'm just like, dude.
Yeah, the writing of the Outer Worlds is really good. It is really, really
also,
good.
it does help that Ashley Birch does a really good job voicing her.
She can do no wrong.
So, yeah, man. I mean, honestly, it's one of those, like, going through, learning her story, how she develops as a character over the time as you're playing, it changes those responses, and it gets crazier and more out there.
That's a good pick.
So, yeah.
That's a good... I've heard a lot about Pavarti. A lot of people are in love with her, and I don't know why yet. So I'm excited, even more so now, to kind of continue that journey with her to learn more about Pavarti.
Dude, she's awesome. She's a great character, and yeah, she's definitely my winner for that.
Okay. Well, guys, there you go. Those are our picks for best character here. My pick, Kate Diaz from Gears 5. Will's pick,
Pavarti Holcomb
from
The Outer Worlds.
There you go. So great picks there. I think those are cool picks.
Yeah.
I like that flow.